Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Hey, everyone. Yeah, my name is Angelo Cortez. I've been working at 8x8 for around 4.5 years now. Center, Unified Communications. But yeah, not really going to talk too much about what I do there. In this talk, I'm mostly going to talk about my side project here. It's called Nippon Homes. So you can see here, you can head to it too in your browser. But yeah, essentially I'm trying to remake Zillow for Japan. What I found was, when you go inside the Japanese listing sites um, for Japan real estate, um, the info is very fragmented. You have to click into the prefecture and then the city and then like the type that you want before you can actually see some listings. So I wanted to aggregate in a map view here, and you can see that's what I did here. And yeah, I've been using Zyte now ever since the inception of this project, which was started a couple months ago when I came back from Japan. And yeah, I have around 240,000 listings on my site here. Um, and yeah, I'll kind of just be talking over like high level everything, like why I chose Zyte, why I chose Scrapy. Um, and yeah, I'll just move along here. Yeah, so I first started using Scrapy in 2017, really. So I actually studied abroad in Japan, and I had a economic history, Japanese economic history class, and my last project there, I wanted to explore short-term rental housing in Japan, and I was actually an economics major. I was, obviously I needed that data, and then Scrapy was like the perfect tool to find that data. And so using Scrapy, I was able to aggregate some listings from a short-term rental site that you probably can guess which site, but and so yeah, that was kind of what I used it for initially 8 years ago. And you can see here, after I got the data, I just ran some regression models on it just to see which one had the lowest error. And yeah, and I guess like through my findings, I found that like review count highly matters, when predicting for price, right? And likewise, person capacity, right? Like the more people that your rental can house, right? The price is going to be likely higher. So some of these stuff were, yeah, pretty intuitive, right? But for me, like review count was not that intuitive. I was like, okay, that actually like, but it kind of makes sense, right? You probably want you probably want a rental that has been tried and true. So yeah, that was kind of my journey. My journey with Scrapy started 8 years ago. I really just haven't touched it until recently again. Um, so actually, I came back from a trip for the same class. I saw the same professor recently, and yeah, we were able to catch up and talk about like the state of Japan and housing in Japan. And what I was able to learn from him was that the main cities like Tokyo and Kyoto, Osaka, they're pretty much like all the the prices of housing there are like skyrocketing, and everywhere else it's like declining. So I kind of wanted to dig deeper in that phenomena too. So that kind of where that's kind of where the motivation behind like creating this side project too came. Um, so yeah, this picture was 2 months ago. His name's Professor Lee. Visited the campus that I was studying in. But yeah, so I dug into Scrapy again, and when I was when I first started scraping like some sites, I came out with this problem. It's a very similar problem that many other people probably are running into when they're scraping at scale. You start getting 500 errors. So there's a few options you can take, right? So the first option that I found was you could use rotating residential proxies from providers, and then also use rotating user agents. Um, and yeah, the second solution I guess was just to use Zyte's API, which was pretty easy to use. All you do is feed a URL, and then you get back some HTML. So And it was pretty low cost. I think like each, request I was doing was like 0.00013 cents or something. And so, I think if I had the time again, I probably would have maybe tried this method. But given, I still have like stuff to do outside of like the side project. Like, I ended up just using Zyte's API, which has been super useful. And like, I think cost wise, this might have been a bit cheaper, like nominally cheaper, but yeah, I guess if you like factor in costs of like time as well, for me, I just felt like Zyte's API just made sense. And so, yeah, you kind of have to couple like Scrapy with one of these two solutions here in order for you to have higher volume of scraping. So I'll move along here. So this was like my first take at this too. You don't have to. It's not too important, but essentially everything's in a big for loop here, and we're doing things synchronously. And so these are just kind of the steps, high level of what I had to do to ingest a full listing, right? So I'm not going to go too much into detail here, but the key takeaway here, you can see there's 3 colors with these arrows, but you can see like, a lot of this stuff you can do asynchronously or be running in parallel. So I was getting around like 1.5 listings a minute through like this big for loop. And yeah, I'll move along here now. So this is kind of my version 2, which, where I'm using asynchronous processing here. And so, yeah, when you have the HTML of this site that you want to scrape, there's actually a lot of things you can do in parallel. So I kind of highlighted that, trying to use different colors here. And yeah, so there's a lot of things you can do in parallel, right? So you can store the HTML. As you're storing the HTML, you can also translate, the HTML. And then as you're translating the HTML, you can also be downloading the images and upserting them. So, and then so I guess for this next piece, I'm really just going to go deeper into this first, the blue part here, but the green and the red follow a similar paradigm, and so you can see here like these are my files, right? And yeah, these pretty much like these processors, they just run in the background 24/7. And so I'll kind of go over like how that works here in a second. So also, yeah, a lot of this stuff is just gonna be high level, just because like we have like coding IDEs now and LLMs. So I feel like the code piece is like not too difficult, right? I feel like the system design is where most of the difficulties are nowadays with these systems. So I'm just, a lot of this stuff is just gonna be high level system design stuff. So I'm moving along here. I'm gonna like focus more on this piece here, like the blue, my listing processor here, right? So, okay, so this is my listing processor. It's pretty much just a worker that runs 24/7 in a VM. And then likewise, I also have Scrapy that runs every day in a VM. And so what Scrapy does, it pretty much just feeds URLs into a Redis queue. And you can see I have 3 Redis queues here for listings, and likewise, it's the same for translations and images. But so this is the first part of my stream, right? So once that URL hits the listing queue, I'm going to go ahead and take that listing out. My processor is going to go ahead and take that out, put it into the processing queue, and then as it's in there, it's going to start sending that URL to Zyte. We're going to get the HTML back. We're going to store the HTML in S3. We're going to do some parsing. We're going to upsert it here into our whatever database that we have. And then from those URLs, we're going to send those URLs off to the images queue, and then so that the image processor can work on that. And then likewise with the parse metadata, we're going to give it to the translations queue just so that the translations worker can work on that. And so, and then afterwards, we're going to remove it from this processing queue. So the whole reason why we have this 3 queues here, really is to maintain Actually, it's for our ability to track failures. So imagine here, like there's like a Zyte outage, right, or AWS outage, and so what that enables us to do is that we can just restart our process, right? Or you say you ran out of Zyte credits, right, or your credit card like got declined or something. Um, your listing would still be in this processing state, and you'd be able to pretty much just kill your script and then just restart it once you fix everything with all your third parties. And so yeah, this doesn't have to be Redis. If I already had a VM that I was running, so it just made sense to use Redis because I had some unused RAM on that VM. And so it's really fast as well. So, but yeah, this can be any queue, right? This can be like SQS. Yeah. So the first reason of why you want to use queues is to track failures, really. So, once like say you have a third party outage, right? One of these sites failed, your process is still going to be, or your listing is still going to be in this processing stage, right? And so when you kill your worker, you just restart it up, and then you can just say maybe process everything in the processing stage first, and then go back to your main queue, right? So that's the first reason. The second reason is just to have more throughput, right? You can spin up as many of these workers that you want. And in here, I'm going to show that, I'm actually running like 8 of these in parallel, just so I can, process more at a given time. So that's kind of, at a high level of like what my listing processor does. I don't know am I supposed to take questions here? Sure. Guess not. Okay. So let me move over to here. So I, given the 240,000 that I scraped, I think it cost me around 120 bucks in Zyte. I don't know what it would have cost with. So that's including all the images too, actually. I don't know how much it would have cost with residential proxies, but excuse me. Yeah, that was kind of my assessment here. And then I'm getting around like $1 a day is how much it's costing. So and then so here you can see like my pipeline here, right? So and then like here's like my Python command. So I actually have like this like main wrapper around all my workers, and you can see like so how many of each worker I want to spin up, right? So I think typically my bottleneck tends to be this listing worker. So currently I have 8 workers running here in this example. So we're getting around 64 listings a minute. And so that you can do the math there. So that's around 8 listings per worker per minute, right? And then likewise with the image workers, I'm getting around 30 images per minute per worker. And I think that's mostly it. I mean, like, what's next? I think for my site, I want to add like deduplication from other sources. I want to add like an Airbnb layer. I know like so. I guess the competitor in the space they're called Akiyamart, but they have an Airbnb layer. So I was like, I wonder how they did that. So speaking to some people on how how that works, but then maybe paywalling just because it's not a lot of this stuff is like not free, right? It's still relatively low cost, I think, but it's not free. So I think if I were also to redo this, there's this repo out there that you can go ahead and go, but I literally just found out about it maybe like a couple nights ago, but it's I'll just go to it here. So Google Gemini team has actually made this processor, Gen AI processors repo. They made it just a couple months ago. I'm not sure. And so you can actually make your own processor. Like I kind of built mine from scratch, but if I were to redo it, maybe I would have done this. I feel like there's let's look at their examples here, but I feel like they have some decent templates here, because for me, I just hard coded like 3 different files, right? They're not really inheriting from a single processor object, but if I were to redo it, I'd probably like look into this here. So that's about it. I think I don't know if there's much. If there are any questions, maybe, or does anyone have any questions about any of these pieces here? So.